friends, Kelcey here from Cloud9 Workshop. This week on Cloud9, we are very lucky to have Meghan Sheahan from down the road, our neighbor, visiting us. Meghan, we are so happy that you are here.
Thank you for having me.
You have brought something with you, and I'm very excited to learn about it. But and perhaps when you open it, then you'll be able to talk a little bit more about your work. So let's just start there, if that's okay.
So I brought sort of some of my favorites that I've made in the last year or so. So these are different necklaces and rings with some gorgeous stones and minerals.
And I just want to jump in really quick. To be clear, you did not buy this and put it on a chain.
No.
Okay.
So I start with sheet metal and wire, and I form everything around the stone and make the settings, do the metal smithing, all of that. So
that's amazing. So this was a stone, a rock, and now you've formed it into jewelry.
Yes. And
so there's a lot of stones in the world. So how do you start? How do you choose what you're going to do? What inspires you?
I'm kind of a rock nerd. I'm gonna bring these
yeah,
over.
you brought the collection.
This is just a little, it's actually just a fraction of the collection.
Oh my goodness.
And so I'm very fond of quartz, jasper, and agates, and most of these in here are different types of those stones. So yeah, so I sort of start with the stone, and I'm not somebody that like really draws things out ahead of time. I sort of like pick the stone I'm working with, and then I just make around it. So I kind of I guess my aesthetic is mostly like letting the stones speak for themselves, right? Like this is nature's art, and I'm just sort of framing it. So I really like very simple, understated settings to really just let the stone be the centerpiece.
And have you had any do-overs? Like if you get into a project, does it work the first time, Meghan?
Every time, yes. No, I mean, definitely. Like I've been doing this for many years, and I still make mistakes and have to completely start over.
How many years? How many years have you been doing it?
So metalsmithing, I started in 2007, and it was sort of an on and off thing.
Yeah.
And then at COVID, everyone's lives changed. So I sort of took a step back from my full-time job and picked metalsmithing up again. And so now I do this full-time.
That's great. So tell me about that first class. What was it? Do you remember?
It was actually at the MATC downtown like craft center, and it was with I can't remember his name. I wish I could, because he was very
in the
inspiring.
notes later. Yes, that's fine.
So it was like a basic metalsmithing 101 class, and there was this big group of women who would just take the class over and over and over again. So they basically had like their benches, and they would just like keep their stuff there and come every day and do like open studio kind of thing. So we started with brass and copper, and just learned like the basics of soldering and filing and sawing and all of that. And I mean, I was smitten right away. Like it was just...
Before you even got to that, what made you want to, or what made you go to the class? Like, what was the spark?
So I started making jewelry by like going thrifting, and then like buying old costume jewelry, taking it apart, and then making something new with it.
I love that. That's so good.
So I did that, and like I would do like beaded stuff, and it was sort of that like natural progression of like wanting to figure out how to do the next thing. Like what's the next skill I can learn? How can I build this up?
I love that, because you're learning skills, you put them in the pocket, your little tool belt, and then you can pull them out, because when you get an idea, sometimes maybe what you find isn't representing what that idea is, and this gives you more opportunity to pursue what your vision is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really love that. And so you've got these pieces as being the stones, or what you're going to build in the center. You brought some tools along too. Would you mind sharing a few of those? What are some of your favorite tools? Like what can't you go without? grab some
hammers. Lots of hammers.
Business.
And this
good.
is actually only one. I should have brought many. I
okay.
have about 20 different hammers. This is a rawhide hammer, so this would be something that I'm shaping the metal with. So I would take, this is a ring mandrel. I would take sort of the flattened wire, and I would wrap it around here and just tap away at it to round it and make that shape. And if you can see how kind of beat up this is, it's on purpose. If the rawhide mallet is like this, like brand new, it will make marks on the metal. So I had to like beat this up. I literally like was on the sidewalk trying to break that. Because you need sort of that softer underside, so you don't mar the metal, because then that just, you have to unmar the metal. It just takes everything longer.
This ring that you had picked up, about how many hours goes into a ring like this?
If I did it from start to finish.
Good point. Okay, if you did it from start to finish, let's start there.
Yeah, it would be 2 to 5 hours.
2 to 5 hours. But that's not the path.
No, it's it depends on the stone. It depends on what else I have going on in the studio, because there's many different interactions I have with each of these. So the first thing I would do is create the bezel around the stone. And then I have to solder that. I have to do all of the soldering applications separately, because you can't just solder a bunch of different parts at the same time, because they have to meet exactly, like you have to focus in on it, and the flame has to focus in on it when you use the torch.
What, in all of this process, do you have a favorite part? A favorite step? The thing that makes you like
buying the stones.
Oh, buying the stones. There you go.
I get to go down to Arizona every year for the gem. There's this big gem show down there, and so I've made a lot of connections with the lapidary artists and the miners that actually like dig these out and then shape the raw stone into a cabochon. And so it's this sort of like mecca of rock nerds and jewelry people, and like just everybody's sort of converging on Arizona in February, which is the perfect time to go. And yeah, I'm like a kid in a candy store. So that's definitely like the first, I get really excited about the stones. I love sitting down and, just creating the shapes and just sort of getting to play. Like it feels very, I don't know, there's so much freedom in it, like I can sit here and be like, this is going to be a ring, or this is going to be whatever. And, I get to decide. It's just a very freeing thing.
That's great.
This stone in particular is really cool. It's called copper plume agate. So the agate has actual pieces of copper that have grown inside the stone. So it's like some of these, like I get all geeky about the stones because it's just like, these come from the earth. Like this is crazy. Like these are not treated or heated or anything. This is natural. It's just, cut and polished. So like all of these, like these colors, these are all different kinds of chalcedony. And that's the natural color of how they come out of the earth. And it's based on like what minerals grow inside the crystalline to make that color. So iron, copper, nickel, I think titanium too. Like there's just all different kinds that can create these colors. And it's wild.
You sell your work on your website, is that right? You have a website where you sell your work, is that right?
I do. I'm not great about updating the website, I'll be honest.
But you do shows as well?
Yes, yeah.
And that's probably a great place because then you can see everything firsthand.
Yeah, and I've brought my raw stones to shows before, and it's really cool to be able to interact with people on, like, you get people that are like, oh, I really like how this is shaped, but it's not quite my color or whatever. And so they can like pick through here and ask me to make them a custom piece.
Oh, I didn't know you did that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's really fun to work with people on that level too, of just like kind of building it together.
Yeah. Can I show you what I brought?
Yes, I would love to see it.
All right. So, oh dear, it's coming. Oh, it tipped over. I'll have to fix it. All right, here it is, and I will fix it. Here we are. So this is jewelry made by resistors. So a little different take. So similar to what you were saying, like you would thrift things. Well, once upon a time, my physics teacher in high school, so just a few years ago, he challenged me, because he knew I like to make a lot of repurpose, reuse. He challenged me to make, he brought up this big roll of resistors that look like this.
Oh my gosh.
This whole tray. So he had a big spool of these resistors, and the challenge was, can I make something out of this? And I said, oh, of course I can make something out of that. And so I started making these jewelry. So I started making earrings, and this necklace actually was from when I was like 16 or 17. I would take old chains that I would thrift, and then I bent the resistors around it. And then I moved to a method where I was just linking them. So it was sort of an evolution, like you were saying, you play with it, you learn a few more tools and tricks. Then I moved into making earrings, and then fast forward just a few years, and we're making more of this kind of jewelry in the studio here. So we like to repurpose, reuse what we already have at hand, but recognize some of those subtle, interesting things. Like these are very natural subtlety details that you can focus on. And here, you know, I know this means other stuff, all the different lines, but to me, they're different colors, and there's actual real interest and creative interest in that too. So
can I ask you,
oh, yeah.
what is a resistor? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, so I did well in the class, but I probably shouldn't be the one that explains what a resistor does. But do you remember having those grids in physics, and you needed to get the light to light up, and you had to have everything connected? So this was involved in that, and all of my techie friends can like chime in to say more about what that means. But actually, we do use some parts when we do our creative circuitry cards here to get them to light up. So we have often blended science-based skill sets in with what we're doing. And I think you see a lot of that too with what you're doing. Like these skill sets can be applied to other things, much the way that these can sort of marry what you're doing as well. So it's a really nice play. And it's just really fun. Like it kind of got into, can you resist the jewelry to see how that works?
What is that metal? Do you know?
Yeah, you ask such great questions.
Sorry, I'm trying to
I don't even know. It's bendable, Megan.
Yeah?
It's bendable.
Well, there you go.
So I can bend it in all kinds of shape. I would use really high-tech equipment like the inside of a pen to bend them. So I get really fancy when I do my work.
That is actually one of my favorite. Pens are one of my favorite ear wire bending
it's
tools.
The perfect
Yep,
shape.
it is. It's the perfect size too.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't realize others had found the inside of a pen. Well, it's been so fun to talk to you, Megan. I love our neighbors around here. They are interested in all kinds of things and doing a lot of creative work, and we are just lucky to have the opportunity to talk with you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was super fun.
Super. Thanks, friends.